So, this is my very first interview. I hope it all goes well. And I would like to give a big warm welcome to the channel, a fellow YouTuber, Wolfman's Got Nards. So, Wolfman, thank you for joining and welcome to the channel.
I'm good. Movie Mania in the house.
So, a big welcome to the channel, Lee. Thank you for joining us. And obviously, I won't keep it too long because I know you're a busy person with work, and obviously you've got your own YouTube channel to deal with and other stuff. So I'm going to get right down to it. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions and hopefully we'll have a fun time doing it. So my first question is, anyone who's a horror fan obviously knows that Halloween 1978 is classed as an iconic horror. But the way the standard of horror is filmed today, if Halloween 78 came out today as is, shot for shot, would it be classed as an iconic horror, or would it be just a standard horror film?
If it was filmed the exact same way, I think people would like it. I think it would be on the same level as It Follows. I think it would be enjoyed coming out today. Not a lot of people would appreciate it, just like It Follows is not appreciated too much. But in a few years, more people will come to appreciate it more. And I feel like that's what Halloween would be, because when I watch a horror film from the 70s, I don't think a lot of them age very well. When I see a 70s horror movie, I'm like, ooh, that looks really bad now. Whereas Halloween, when I watch that, I don't know if it's because I watch it all the time, but when I watch Halloween, it doesn't seem like a really old film. It does a lot of the things that new films do today. So I think it would still, it stands the test of time. I think it would still do well today because it's not aged that much.
I mean, yeah, I think Halloween will stand the test of time. The way it was made, at the time it was made, with the lighting, the screenplay, the suspense. I think that's what makes a great director, when they know how to make a film suspenseful, where the killer is there, but it's not there. Where you can sense it on screen, where, like take Jaws for example, like you know the shark's there, but you can't see it. And that's what makes it suspenseful. Especially where you see Michael like lurking about, you don't really see him, but you do see him. And obviously, great character stories with Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. They have a good story arc together. Dr. Loomis, Donald Pleasance, that was great casting. But yeah, I think it would stand up to today's horror. But moving on to something more recent, I recently watched Freddy vs. Jason, because Freddy vs. Jason is 20-year-old now, believe it or not. With news that Friday the 13th is bringing out a new TV series on Peacock. What would your pitch be for the series for Camp Crystal Lake?
I think it would be what they're possibly going to do, and that would be as a prequel, I believe. And I think a good idea would be Pamela Voorhees being kind of young, having her husband or her boyfriend or whatever, a young Jason, there's trouble in the household. Maybe Jason sees the mum getting hurt by the dad or stepdad a lot, and Jason kind of snaps, or Pamela snaps, and then Jason starts to copy his mother, and it kind of leads to them going to the Camp Crystal Lake, etc. A really good build-up to Jason Voorhees. If they're planning on doing a few seasons of this, I actually don't mind not seeing adult Jason with a cocky mask on just now. Build his character up like Bates Motel. If you want to give us a season of them just being abused by the father, then go do it. As long as it's good, as long as it's interesting, as long as we get a payoff at some point. Season 2 could be Pamela getting away from this husband, boyfriend, and going to Camp Crystal Lake and being one of the camp counsellors and taking her son there. And then he gets bullied in this season. And then we see some sort of magical, mystical stuff happen, because we know that he's not going to be human at some point. Some things start to happen. Then in season 3, he gets a little bit older and he drowns. And then in season 4, Pamela's mourning the loss of her son, but then there's just something in the background that's, is he there, is he not there? People have died, people are getting killed, people are blaming other people for getting killed. Is it Pamela? Is it somebody else doing the killing? We just don't know, but where's her son? Could he still be alive? And in the next season, that's when he's an adult and comes back. So you could do this for 4, 5, 6 seasons and make it work, but do people have the patience for 4 or 5 years worth of Jason Voorhees on TV? I don't know. I would, if the content's good. But that's kind of my idea for it anyway.
I mean, yeah, why not try and push the envelope a little bit? Try and get 3 or 4 seasons out of it. Obviously, introduce Crystal Lake and then get Pamela joining as a camp counsellor, and then obviously Jason getting drowned, and then that could lead right into the original Friday the 13th. So you could, yeah, get a couple of seasons out of it. So I think that would be a good, quite a good pitch to it actually. So that would lead up to our final question, obviously with a lot of Freddy news coming out recently, with a new Nightmare on Elm Street trying to be made. With Haddonfield and Elm Street being practically a character in their own right in the franchises, to make a new Nightmare, would it be best to push Freddy out of Elm Street altogether and try and explore somewhere new, like they did with Halloween H2O? What do you think they could do with it?
Yes and no. I think you need to have Springwood in a Freddy movie. You need to have Elm Street in it, especially since it's called A Nightmare on Elm Street. So if you have a movie called A Nightmare on Elm Street and it's set in California or wherever else, then it wouldn't make sense. So it's definitely going to have to be set in Elm Street. But you've got Freddy versus Jason, where yes, there's parts of it set in Elm Street, but a lot of it took place in Camp Crystal Lake as well. So I don't mind them setting it in Elm Street while exploring other places within the movie. That's absolutely fine. But as long as there's part of it that's set in Elm Street, because that's where the nightmare takes place, that's where the characters are affected by Freddy Krueger. So it's harder to take it out of Elm Street, especially since the title alludes to that. Whereas if you've got a movie like Halloween, it doesn't have to be set in Haddonfield, even though it should be. It doesn't have to be. And it's the same with Friday the 13th. It probably doesn't even take place on Friday the 13th in or most of these movies. The first one was just called Friday the 13th because that was the date that they thought sounded really cool. And they ran with that because 13 is an unlucky number. But unlucky for all of them, they're kind of pigeonholed the date in there. And I know that they try and bring out Friday the 13th movies on Friday the 13th or whenever, but they're trying to rush things if there's only a few months to go, etc. But yeah, it's a bit weird.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. They kind of shoot themselves in with the name Nightmare on Elm Street, so they can't really take it too far out, obviously, with Freddy being tied into Elm Street as it is, with the name and everything. So yeah, if they could try and do it, they would be pushing it. But it's good to try and take a risk whether it pay off or not. But if they're going to bring out a new Nightmare film, I think they probably will just stick on Elm Street with the rest of them. So anyway, thank you Wolfman for answering all my questions. I've loved having you on the channel. As always, I would love to get you for another interview, ask you some more questions, or we could do a live stream together. Always be fun to do something. But thank you, and I will see you in the next one, Wolfman. See you later. And there we have it. That was just some of the fun-filled questions that Wolfman's Got Nards managed to answer. Obviously this was just a mash-up interview because he answered them live on a Q&A. So I've just filled in the gaps with me talking on here and putting him in, answering my questions. But it's always fun to try something new on this channel. But as always, I am Anthony with Movie Mania. Please let me know what you thought of this, because this is the first time I've tried doing an interaction with somebody. But I would love to know your thoughts. And as always, I'm Anthony with Movie Mania. Please leave your likes, your comments, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. See you later.